Hey everybody, this is Mr. Moppin coming at you with another APUSH video. This time taking a look at topic 5.7, which is going to be primarily focusing in on the presidential election of 1860 and the subsequent secession of the South to form the Confederacy. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at one last major event that's going to bring us to the brink of division, and that is going to be the raid at Harpers Ferry by John Brown. Now, note, when we do talk about the 1850s, there's this just, seemingly never-ending series of events that is just, hit after hit after hit that is dividing the country further and further and further. You got the Compromise of 1850, you've got the publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin, you've got the Kansas-Nebraska Act, you've got, the situation of Bleeding Kansas, you've got the Scott versus Sanford ruling. So all of these things are just, just getting pounded and pounded and pounded, each one exacerbating the divide between North and South even further. And John Brown's raid at Harper's Ferry is another one of these, and might be the most significant prior to the election of 1860. Now, we've talked about John Brown before. John Brown was a leading abolitionist that was, attempting to try to, end the institution of slavery by starting a rebellion. Now, what happens is that John Brown first is going to be involved in basically, an execution of a series of pro-slavery Southerners in what's going to be called the Pottawatomie Massacre in Kansas a few years earlier. He's never apprehended with regards to that, and John Brown's fervor to destroy slavery only grows in the subsequent years. And so by 1859, John Brown feels that he is basically an agent of God, and that he is going to show, God's righteous, anger towards slavery by trying to organize a slave rebellion. His belief was, if slaves are able to get access to firearms, they would then be able to liberate themselves, and it would just create this domino effect, a snowball, if you will, of slave rebellions and uprisings that will ultimately destroy the institution in and of itself. But the very first step in the process, of course, is getting the guns. And that is where Harper's Ferry comes in. At Harper's Ferry, there is a massive arsenal of weapons controlled by the federal government. And so Brown has a group of about 24 followers, including a number of his sons, that are planning to, raid the arsenal, steal all the guns, and then use those guns to start liberating slaves. He invites, acclaimed black abolitionists at the time, like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, to try to aid him in this, but they both decline. So John Brown is, he's going at it, come hell or high water, because, once again, this is a guy, and once again, this kind of shows you where we're at here. This is a guy that, he's acting with religious level fervor at this point in time. So, there's no, rationalizing with him. Like, there's no reasonableness. He's doing what is morally just and right in his mind. Nothing and nobody will dissuade him at this point. So he goes at it, and it is a bit of a half-cocked plan, and it does not go well for John Brown and his supporters. In this shootout at the arsenal, and note, the arsenal is defended at the time by a guy by the name of Robert E. Lee, if you can go figure, that is going to be, of course, commanding Confederate forces in the upcoming Civil War. But yeah, it goes badly for John Brown. About half of his group are killed in the attempt to try to capture the arsenal. About, I think it's like 6 or 7 do get captured, including John Brown himself. And he is going to be very quickly charged with treason for trying to, take over this military base with arms. And John Brown is going to be, pretty hastily found guilty and executed. Now, when Brown is executed, his death is going to have, a very, divisive effect on Americans. John Brown in the North, his death, especially amongst abolitionists, is going to be viewed as somebody dying for a good and just cause, and we call those folks martyrs. And so John Brown was viewed as a martyr in abolitionist circles, a guy that was willing to die for his beliefs, willing to put his life on the line and sacrificing that life for what he believes is the best thing, and that's the ending of slavery. Conversely, in the South, John Brown, epitomizes the worst fears of the South. Southerners had become more and more paranoid about the idea of some type of Northern Yankee conspiracy to try to organize and destroy slavery, and therefore, thereby destroying the South. And for those folks, this attempted raid by John Brown is evidence of that. This is, they're going, see, look, we're not crazy. We're not paranoid. This is real. There's a real attack. There's a real war going on against slavery. John Brown epitomizes that. And so, John Brown is viewed as nothing less than a despicable terrorist in the southern half of the United States. So, we can't, look at these events in a common consensual way anymore. It's all through the prism. It's all through the paradigm of slavery in terms of how you're going to view these events. And that then brings us to the final nail in the coffin that's going to be bringing us to the Civil War, and that is going to be the presidential election of 1860. Now, in 1860, we're going to be seeing what was left of the Democratic Party now totally fraying apart into two totally separate factions, once again along sectional lines and based on the issue of slavery. John C. Breckinridge will be the nominee of the southern wing of the Democratic Party, a staunch states' rights supporter and supporter of slavery. The northern wing of the Democrats are going to nominate Stephen Douglas. We know him from his support of popular sovereignty. We're also going to see John Bell be nominated by the Constitutional Union Party, which was seen as kind of a moderate party that kind of wanted to maintain this balance of power between the North and the South. And then, of course, the Republicans are going to be nominating their newest celebrity candidate, and that's Abraham Lincoln. And note, in 1860, what is Lincoln and the Republicans running on? Well, as you can see here, their main number one priority is stopping the expansion of slavery, making sure that slavery is not allowed to go beyond where it's already been approved in certain states. Now, note, there's a difference here. Lincoln does not come out and say that he wishes to destroy slavery. He does not say that he's an abolitionist. He just wants to make sure slavery does not expand beyond where it is. Now, note, there's also going to be some, legacy of the Whig Party in the Republicans, and part of that is a robust protective tariff to protect northern businesses. Note also that there's a strong desire to use government funds to build a transcontinental railroad. So there's a lot of this, providing free land for homesteaders out on the plains. So there's definitely the inheritance of what is a lot of old Whiggish, kind of Henry Clay stuff, if you will. But now at the top of the list is this idea of you cannot let slavery be extended beyond where it is. The Republican Party has made a firm stance on the issue of slavery, and they're going with it. And you've seen what's happened with the Democrats. The northern wing now promoting popular sovereignty. The southern wing now staunch defenders of slavery. So this is kind of where we're getting into here. And as you can see, there's a big question. Who's gonna be winning this thing? Who's gonna be coming out on top? And will this election ultimately destroy the country, depending on who wins? And in the end, we know who wins. We know that Abraham Lincoln wins. But take a look at this map here of the election results. You can see how divided we are, North and South, on the issue of slavery. Lincoln is going to be basing all of his support in northern free states. He's not able to win a single state that allows for slavery. You can see the deep South states all unanimously going in support of Breckinridge, an all-out defender of slavery. And you can kind of see where that, that middle line is. Border states going for John Bell, the moderate, and Missouri going for Douglas, with popular sovereignty. But bottom line, Lincoln gets the majority of the electoral college votes. He wins all the big high population states. So he wins the majority, no question about it. But take a look at this stat right here, and this might be the most telling of all. Lincoln, even though he wins a majority in the Electoral College, only gets 40% of the popular vote. That means 3 in 5 voters voted against Lincoln in this election. And for a guy that is run on a platform of stopping the expansion of slavery, he clearly does not have a mandate from the people. The vast majority voted against him. He has a plurality of the popular vote, but nothing close to a majority of the popular vote. So this shows that Lincoln's in a very big predicament, even though now, yes, he is the he's the winner of the election, and notes what this means to those that are in the South. In the South, this is very, very concerning. You have this situation now where the next president of the United States has said that he will not allow for the expansion of slavery to the West. And what does that mean to you? That means to you the beginning of the end of slavery. That's what this means. You don't trust that Lincoln's going to actually protect your rights to have slavery. You see this as the beginning of the end. And so Lincoln's victory is the worst possible thing that could have happened to you. And Southerners now feel like they are very much painted into a corner. They either have to accept Lincoln as the next president and accept what they truly believe is the beginning of the end of slavery, or you take what is the only other viable alternative, and that is secession. And we're going to leave it there for this particular video. We'll pick it up with how the South is going to respond to the victory of Lincoln. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.